Good morning, friends on Zoom and on YouTube. We will begin our daily devotional in just a few moments. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to our daily devotional from Pilgrim Congregational Church. This is Patrick Horn, and this week we have been reading and studying Mark chapter 8, verses 31 through 38. This passage has two distinct sections. One is a section in which Peter encounters or rebukes Jesus for talking about his own suffering and death, and Jesus responds rather harshly, "Get thee behind me, Satan." He is looking at his disciples when he does this, it says, and so others hear his response. And it is intended, I think, for several reasons, which we've talked about earlier this week. And then the second section is Jesus talking more about denying ourselves, taking up our cross, and follow what it means to be a follower of Christ. And we reflected yesterday on the notion of giving up one's life, sacrificing one's life for the sake of Christ. Now, the single verse that I would like for us to focus on this morning is Mark chapter 8, verse 38, which is the last verse in the passage. And it goes like this. This is Mark 8:38. Following all of this discussion about denying the self and taking up the cross. Mark 8:38. Those who are ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of them the Son of Man will also be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. Well, this sounds very much like a harsh sort of remark. I do think that it does have that intention in some ways, but I'd like to reframe it just a bit and give us something to think about here. I do think that the main intent of this verse concerning shame is to convey the importance of these issues, that these are very serious issues, and that remember, Jesus is talking to his disciples and to a slightly larger crowd here, among whom may be those who are not fully committed, but giving some thought to it, as it were, listening. And I think Jesus is conveying here to that group, or at least the intention of the author here is to to note that Jesus is conveying to that group that this is a very serious issue, and that very much like the concept of judgment itself. And notice that this is really the context of the verse is really judgment, and the fact that we are responsible before God for how we live, how we relate to others and to the whole of creation. And so it's a very, very serious matter. I would like to reframe it, though, in a slightly different way. And that is to step out a bit from the notion of this being about Jesus and the last judgment, as it were, mainly because I think we have so many pictures that are warring within us with those concepts, with the concept of who Jesus is and what the last judgment is. And I wonder if we could just put those aside for a moment and consider what it would mean to be ashamed of goodness, what it would mean to be ashamed to be on the side of goodness. And it's not too difficult, I think, to imagine a scenario in which that is the case. I think we've all found ourselves in a situation where we weren't too sure what to say, but it was a lot easier to go along with the crowd. It was a lot easier to, there was a lot less conflict, and you knew that you would be able to leave the meeting and go have your dinner, and everyone would be happy if you kept your mouth shut. And if and I think it might be helpful to think of this passage in that way. I'm not suggesting that you raise your voice at every meeting, or that you are that you develop a reputation for someone who wants to fight about anything and everything. But I am suggesting that we need to think very carefully when we're in these situations, when we could speak up, when we could say something in defense of goodness, let's say, of what is right and what is good and what is loving, that we take a few more moments to at least struggle and challenge ourselves concerning the best way to respond, to also respond in love, but not to be ashamed to be on the side of goodness, not to be ashamed to speak up when perhaps we should speak up. I understand this is very, very difficult, and especially in our day when there are so many very volatile political issues that we have to encounter with friends and family and Facebook and all the rest. And I would simply encourage you to think prayerfully about how to respond in those situations. And I think that this is what the passage is encouraging us to do now, that to take note that this is a very serious issue, that it does have to do with the last judgment, that it does have to do with how Jesus sees us. But let's think about more simply, I think, about just goodness and love, on which Jesus, of course, is always on the side of. Okay, let's close with this word of prayer, again from W.E. Orchard, and we are still at the outer gate, which I think is appropriate in this season of Lent. Out of the depths have we cried unto thee, O God. O God, hear our prayer. Our desperate need of thee is mocked by our faint and feeble petitions. Hearken not to the words of our lips, disciplined by such fatal habit to conceal ourselves, but consider our travail of soul and listen to the groanings that cannot be uttered. When we have dared to descend within. Fathomless deeps make us afraid, and we dread to know ourselves. Passions sleep within, which any wandering breeze might stir to storm, and we be overwhelmed beneath its waves. Surely this cannot be ourselves, for of this we are afraid. Deep within, we have caught a glimpse of smiling seas which mirror the beauty of the sky, while they themselves are dark and foul. Strange self-deceptions make us crave for comfort while we sing of sacrifice. We pretend to love thee, but love better still ambition, praise, the hollow word. If this should be ourselves, all hope for us is gone. Thou canst not love what we can only hate. Yet, deeper still, O God, lies hunger for thyself, and this must be of thee. Yet we fear this most of all. If this should pass our power to bear, we might be swept beyond our studied selfishness, our calculating prudence, and never be the same again. Out of such depths we cry unto thee, O God. Amen. Thank you for joining me this morning from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.